If you plan on taking Dad fishing this weekend, we've got you covered all over the state. Right, Bree?
That's right, Rick. We're getting great bass, crappie, and striper reports on the lakes, and our saltwater guys are catching redfish, trout, dorado, and more. So get ready for the Father's Day edition on the Texas Insider Fishing Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Hello and welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. This weekend is for the dads, and what better way to celebrate than to be out on the water catching and making those precious memories, right, Rick?
You're absolutely right, Bree. You know, I talked to some of the fellas and man, they are so happy that it's not raining right now. And it looks like the seas have calmed down. I know Chad's got offshore a little bit. I know my friend Mike Prosick is offshore as we speak.
Yes, it's time.
Guys are out there trying to get some of those red snappers.
Great. Well, it's going to be a good weekend. And you know what? Let's say hi to Dad of 3 over there at the Yak Gear Workbench, Dave Farrell.
And I don't think one of them is going to know it's Father's Day.
Hopefully your odds
Their
are
mom's
in your
gonna have
favor.
to give them the elbow. Hey, you know it's Father's Day, right?
Father's Day. What are we talking about, Dave?
We're talking about jigging and catching red snapper.
All right.
Perfect. What a good weekend to do that. All right, we're starting your weekend off in the Star Trek Middle Fresh region on Sam Rayburn, Toledo Bend, and Livingston, where we're keeping up with the flooded bush residents. Go for it, Matt.
All right, Bree. So we're going to start out here with the largemouth bass at Toledo Bend. The lake level is back down around pool level or close to it again. And it's heated up to about 83 degrees now. And I say again because we've been fluctuating so much, like Rick alluded to. We've been getting tons of rain. It's crazy, but it's been pretty for the last few days. So that lake level's coming on back down and kind of stabilizing. So things are pretty good right now. And even though it's been fluctuating a lot, it's been a small fluctuation, about a foot here on Toledo Bend, up and down, up and down. So because it's been so high for up and down, staying above pool so much, there's been a shallow bite that's kind of resurged. A lot of these fish are pulled back shallow, but it's a short-lived deal. It's only in the morning, but it's a topwater bite, so it's fun. You can get up there around the cypress trees and the grass with your topwater poppers and frogs, and so that's a good time. Just do it right as that sun's rising, or maybe even a little bit before. Once the sun gets up, that bite's pretty much over. Most of your bigger fish are still staying offshore, out in 10 to 20 feet on main lake points and flats. You're going to want to look for hard bottom areas with isolated stumps, patches of rough bottom or even grass out in that depth. Big worms and crankbaits are definitely the ticket for that bite. I love that red bug or the plum apple colored bass assassin tap out worm or the big ribbon tail worm for that bite. A lot of fun. You catch a lot of big fish right now. All right, moving over to Sam Rayburn. The water level is still 6 feet high at Rayburn, so it's very similar to storage to Toledo Bend, but even more fish up in the bushes and a few less offshore. Frogs and soft plastics around the bushes remain good. Even though we're all the way into June now, they're still catching them really good up there like that. The bass assassin skunk ape is another great one for that bite. Really shines when you pitch it into that heavy cover into those bushes. It resembles a bait fish very well when you keep the tails together. So give that Houdini color a try. You won't be disappointed. There's still an offshore bite as well, just not nearly as prevalent with that high water. I'm hearing reports of folks catching them out to 18 feet of water with Carolina rigs and crankbaits. All right, now moving up to Richland Chambers. The water there is still high as well. Lots of water here, still in the Middle Fresh. It's stained to muddy up in the creeks, and then the main lake is pretty clean, and it's gotten up to 80 degrees now. The fishing is fair to good around the flooded bushes. Bass are still using those flooded bushes, but they're a bit more scattered, and the big fish are being caught slipping right in those thick bushes still. Some of the fish are also starting to use docks, and Mr. Thurman Selman up there with Bass Assassin Specialty let me know that the Bass Assassin finesse worm is a ticket around those docks. Just kind of finesse game, be slow and patient. Now we're going to switch species, going to the crappie. Just going to hit one lake there. Going to talk about Toledo Bend because it's been kind of a roller coaster, so I'm trying to keep you updated. The crappie catches have been increasing this week. The up and down lake condition have not helped, but they are holding out in about 15 to 25 foot of water around the timber, the docks, and the bridge pilings. Minnows have been the easiest way to catch them. Get right on top of them, drop that minnow straight down with a heavy split shot because the current's been pretty strong with all the water running through the lake. You need to get a heavy weight and get right on top of them. They're real tight to the cover. They're sitting tight with that current running. Jigs are working some as well in the blue hues on those Panfish Assassin plastic jigs. I've got a photo of some good crappie here. I got 3 ladies there with some real nice ones we caught this week.
Nice
Cool.
job, bud.
Fun.
Tell us about the white bass.
Yes, sir. We're going to finish out with the white bass. Going to start on Livingston. White bass are always a player on Livingston, of course, and it sounds like it's pretty good right now. They're catching them up there pretty shallow up on the flat points and about 5 to 10 foot of water. Look for the cleaner water because, once again, we've had a lot of rain. They're going to be around that little bit cleaner water. Now moving up to Sam Rayburn again. Whites are holding out on the points there. Out on the deeper side of the points, about 20 to 30 feet of water. Spoons and other shad imitating baits are best for catching those. And then back here on Toledo Bend to round out, white bass have really treated us well here lately with all that water moving through the lake. They're thriving on that current. They're still holding on main lake flats and points about 15 to 25 feet deep. Jig and spoons have been working the best, either a white or a chrome. And then minnows work some days as well. And I'm going to leave you with a photo of my son, Fisher, with a nice white bass he caught lately.
Oh, man.
He is so cute. He's gotten so big.
He sure has. All right, well, enjoy him over Father's Day weekend there, Dad. It's time for the Rodan Marine System hotspots from the Middle Fresh region. Matt says, guys, bass, they're living in the shallow flooded bushes, especially in the morning. Topwater baits and flipping and pitching presentations are the best way to catch them. You know, the crappie are also beginning to stack up in 15 to 25 feet, biting minnows best. And then the white bass, they're excellent in the flooded lakes on points with the jigging baits as well.
All right, well, in the upper fresh region, the stripers and hybrids are stealing the spotlight this week, but crappie and largemouths are still a fun sideshow. Let's hear it, Mike.
Hey, Bree. Yeah, no more rain, thank goodness. But let's take about some bass fishing on Ray Hubbard. Joe Shipley says that the buzzbait bite in the early morning hours around seawalls and boat slips is really good. Then switch to crankbaits and shaky heads with trick worms on the rocky banks of rocky areas. Be sure to fish the banks to those rocky areas anyways at an angle. Possum Kingdom with Pete Hernandez. Lake level there's full pool, water clarity very stained in the northern ends, but clearing as you go down south. Water temperatures upper 70s and 80s. Bass are staged offshore on creek channel swings next to main lake points. Carolina rigs, football jigs, and big worms are your best bets there. There are some roaming bigger fish that are being caught on the points with swim baits, but it's very much combined with forward imaging sonar techniques. Lake Athens, Jay Bonner says Athens has been fishing well. The bass are Carolina rigs, creature baits, Texas rig worms, and jigs. And then the offshore humps and points are your best locations. He's caught a few fish on glide baits and things around docks and grass lines, but overall it's the offshore bite that's best. Lake Bodart, steel fishing really, really well. If you want to have a good time, check out the new Lake Bodart. The bass are biting good. They're in the flooded timber and trees. Texas rig creature baits, small jigs, those have been your best baits. Some of the fish are starting to move out onto the points and humps and brush piles, but if you just stay with the points and the dead trees, and you'll catch fish. It's just amazing how many fish that new lake has. Then we go to my lake. Lake Fork is very interesting with all the rain, all the flooding, all the up and downs. Kind of like Sam Rayburn, and you hear, the water's going up a foot, down 5, blah, blah, blah. It's been a roller coaster. But I'm starting my mornings with topwater lures, focusing on shallow flats, flooded areas, bulrushes, pencil reeds. I'm looking for bait fish. The bait fish part is important. Good polarized glasses are going to help you find that. And honestly, I've been using the Bajío for probably about a little over a year now. And I can truly tell you that the Bajío brand is awesome, and I'm finding bait that I normally wouldn't see. But the walking and buzz style topwaters are best. Berkeley Jaywalker 100, the El Chapo 100, Bone White's my favorite color. Later in the day, I'm going to a little deeper stuff, the typical football jigs and bass assassin worms, Texas rig or shaky head style, deep structure. And again, there you're using your sonar to find those deep fish first. But check out this double-digit fish that my client caught just last Monday.
Nice fish, bud. All right, tell us about the crappies.
Good.
Crappie, Jackie Wiggins says Lake Fork's fishing really well. Continues great numbers starting to get offshore. He's seen black crappie ganging up on certain trees, laydowns, and docks. And then he's starting to see some of the white crappie move out to the brush piles. Not seeing a lot of white crappie yet, but there'll be more as we move into the summer. Small hand-tied jigs, those are producing for Jackie. Some small, soft plastic jigs, but tipped with minnows is very important. And if you just use straight minnows, you can fill a table of crappie in no time, just like Jackie has done right here with these happy clients.
What a cool picture, dude. All right, tell us about the stripers, white bass, and hybrids.
All right, so just like last week, the at Levon, which actually was closed, there's one ramp open now. Be careful about going to Levon, but the white bass there is 30 to 40 feet, main lake humps. You can start off on some shallow points and humps, so they might be chasing some bait fish. But if you see them chasing bait fish, run a 3 to 4.5 inch paddle towel type swim bait. But stay in that 30 to 40 foot, 1 ounce, 2 ounce type slab spoon with a marabou jig tied 18 inches ahead of it. That's the way that you can catch 2 fish at one time. It's a really cool rig, and I promise Kerry Thorne is always doing it. It's fun to catch 2 fish at once. Then you got Tawakoni. Tawakoni is overcooled by like 3 feet, but the hybrids are excellent on main lake points and humps with live bait. And I'm telling you, this is crazy, but look at these hybrid stripers and sand bass with this Captain Matt Cartwright and his crew. They do this every single day.
Hey, Mike, we're going to save the catfish for next week. We're a little out of time,
sir.
running short. Thank you so much. It is time for the Ducks Unlimited hotspots from the Upper Fresh region. Mike says that you want to actually check out the stripers and the hybrid bass fishing at Tawakoni. Couldn't get much better. Early morning trips are easily reaching their daily limits of keeper bass as well as average size fish is amazing. See what happens when I just let that report rust out of my reach.
Go when you let it go. All right, well, coming up, we're seeing what the fish bites
Bad
Middle
on
Coast region is reeling in. And then Dave has given us the 411 at the Yacht Gear Workbench for rigs and techniques. Dave, you got a lot going on.
Yep, we're going to sweat a little on the jig.
Ooh.
Jigging for red snappers.
Getting jiggy with it.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
Rick's going to show us how he likes to do that.
I love jigging.
Get jiggy with it. We'll do that.
That's because I like getting jiggy with it.
We know. We know.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Ameritrail. Load, launch, relax. Fenwick. Feel everything. Bahio. Blue light blocking, radically clear polarized fishing sunglasses. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. 30 years of fishing for adventure. Berkeley, your fish, our science. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats. Eat, sleep, fish.
So here we are at the Yacht Gear Workbench, and it's time for the rigs and techniques. You know, Dave, jigging is one of my favorite things to do. I just love how it feels. It's you and the fish and you and the rod, and when you bump it and he bites it on the way down, it's hands-on combat.
I like to do it up to a point. I was doing it in 288 feet this weekend, and after 2 or 3 of them, I was thinking, you know what? I think I'd rather
2 or
drop
3 what?
drops. I think I was ready to drop some bait down. But you're right. Jigging is a lot of fun. You don't have to worry about carrying a whole lot of bait and whatnot. And the bites are ferocious. Usually, it's really a good, cool bite when you get one. So go out there and get you some jigging. If you're going to do it though, this is a really good setup here. This is a Penn Carnage 3 jigging rod, 80 to 200 pound test line up to. It's got all the Fuji components, and you can get one in a spinning version, or that's like that one there, a conventional.
They call these slow pitch now.
Yeah,
slow pitch. Because just some young kid trying to invent something.
Well, before we would throw the jig down and then just jerk it up as fast as we could. Right. But then after about the 4th one, everything turns into a slow pitch, like I was saying, because you get it down to the bottom and you jig it up a little bit, and then you drop it back down. You're not jigging it all the way halfway to the surface, especially if you're in really deep water. So,
I got bad news.
They get the slow things down.
In the 80s, we were dropping a bucktail before they even had metal jigs, Buck.
Yeah.
That was what was slow pitch jigging.
Right. Right. That's correct. We use
bucktail like this.
we use 16-ounce ones for grouper doing that.
Right.
Yeah, and now these little ones, you use littler jigs like that for red snappers. But if you're gonna do it again, you get this Penn Fathom 2. This is a 40. It's a 2-speed reel. So if you're down there deep and you hook up and you can't get him to move, get down into low and crank him up.
Crank him.
Yeah, you can crank him right up to the top. And
I noticed you've loaded it up with the Berkeley metered line. Why don't you tell everybody about that?
That's I think that's 100 pound.
No, I actually put 65.
Did you put
because
65?
I'm going to use this after this show.
Well, there you go. You got 65 pound on there. colored metered. It's got 5 different colors, and they're every 20 feet they change. So
So it
you
makes it
see
simple.
5 colors, you're down 100 feet. You see 10 colors, you're down 200 feet.
That's right.
It's really easy to do. And it just allows you to keep an idea of where your jig is at. I put a big 100-pound test mono on here.
Yeah.
Mainly, well, for 2 reasons. You really don't need 100-pound as far as the drag is concerned. But when you get a fish up close to the top, especially a red snapper, and you may not want to keep him, or he's big enough to keep, if you're using 100-pound, you can just make a couple of wraps and sling him in the boat. Chad Kinney likes to use the heavy leader because you don't have to use a glove or anything. If you're using 40-pound or lower leader, which will probably be enough, that line can cut you. Yeah. But this heavy line won't cut you, and you can jerk the smaller ones into the boat without putting a gaff in them, take the hooks out and let them go, vent them and let them go. Also, you can fish if you're not fishing with the jigs. Well, let's talk about the jigs first. We got a couple jigs over here. We got these are all Savage Gear jigs. They got some needle jigs and the slim jig minnow there. They're
slim jig.
Yep, minnow. They're flat fall, made for a really heavy current. The slim design gets them down really good. Obviously you're going to use heavier and bigger jigs if you're in deeper water. If you're in water than 100 feet or less, you can go with a lighter jig and that sort of thing. This one is the squish jig. It's as you can see, it's shorter. It's very center balanced, and it'll stay in that strike zone a lot longer.
This.
Yeah, it weaves back and forth. These other ones will flutter on the drop.
And the reason they call it a squish jig, looks like a squid on one side.
It looks like a fish on the other.
Fish on the other.
Yeah, really got a lot of heavy duty gear on it as well. Any fish that eats that, you're going to catch it.
And then certainly tipping with fish bites.
Right. I like to, if you're going to be using bait, you use a rig like this, a dropper rig with 2, maybe even 3 hooks on it.
Right.
I like to use what they call a surf and turf when I first get there. I like to put a squid on one and a big sardine on the other,
right.
And I latch them down good with a big piece of fish bites. And that way, if they get that squid off or if they get the sardine off, you still got a big chunk of squid bites. I mean,
fish
bite side on there.
Squid bites.
Yeah.
That's what the
fish bites, squid bites.
Well, you guys, the jig bite is insane, but I'm with Dave. 2 or 3 drops and I'm done. I got to go to the gym, work out some. I know. It's good, though. The Fish Bites Middle Coast region is bubbling with options for the dads weekend ahead, from redfish to red snapper. So, Bink, tell us why this time of year is your favorite.
It's favorite because there's just so many opportunities. East Bay, West Bay, the surf, jetty, the back lake, baiting, drifting. The best thing coming times of the year are right now, this first half of June. And I'm ready just about every sunrise. The topwater bite's been really good. Mirror she pups and she dogs. The surf's been hot. Bass assassins and little johns have been a good soft plastic choice. We've had a weak cold front come through and flatten our Gulf and calm things down for the last 5 or 6 days, and we've really worked on them. We've been working sand and grass around slick, catching and releasing trout. South shoreline of West Matagorda Bay has been good most days. Wading the flats on high tide's been the ticket. In Port O'Connor, those protected shorelines close to Pasco Island has been good for solid trout. The topwater bite's been good throughout the day, especially while fishing the major and the minor moon phases. East Bay drifters have found fish in the usual haunts while drifting with shrimp and bass assassins. Waders have worked the mid-bay reach with calm weather for the trout to 6 pounds. East Bay has really been on fire, man. I've just had some wonderful days out there this week, and so have a lot of other captains. And jetty anglers around Freeport and Surfside are getting their first taste of summer speck run around the rock. Best baits have been menhaden shrimp, but pluggers that walk the jetty going topwaters early in the morning. Photo, that's the 23-inch trout we tagged and released by Kevin Cossack's son, Owen. He did it while he was in the harbor in East Matagorda Bay. You might remember him last year. He made the show last year with a trout pushing 8 pounds. He just keeps on fishing. The boy can fish.
Why don't you get his...
Waders have found redfish tight to the grass and those loaded tides. Back lakes and Port O'Connor has been good for live baiters. Austin, Cinnamon baits and jigs tipped with fish bites. Best bites for reds. Lately, has been along the beach as well. Slot flies reds have been in that first gut. Bull reds on the deep side of the second sandbar. The surf side and Port O'Connor jetties are holding lots of bull reds right now. Some are using cracked blue crabs. Some are free lining big Gulf shrimp. A lot of them have been in that 30 to 35 foot of water. And then in Rockport Island Bight, the back lakes, Redfish Bay have been holding good redfish while tossing bass assassins under popping corks. Offshore, got Mike Siegel, real throw charters. Red snapper fishing's been good. People have really been getting after them with our calm seas. 35 to 40 foot of water has been great. Lots of sharks out there as well. Schools of bull, redfish, and sharks are coming up on the surface. Some of the triple-tailed and chicken dolphin are using those lines of floating sargasses to cover anglers and drifting mats and sight casting these fish. We've had a lot of wet weather here this spring, so I wanted to say, it's been good for our marsh fishing. I love what it does for our ducks. I've got private marsh that I've done several projects with Ducks Unlimited, and we appreciate the work they've been doing. It's really helping. We're really seeing that benefit right now with all the wetness that we have right now in Texas, and we're gonna take care of those ducks in about 3 months as teal season opens. But as of right now, June's a great month in the fish bite, Middle Coast region. Lots of opportunities. Please take care of our fishery, and please remember catch and release. Pretty cool.
Bink, get that guy that little boy's size, and I'll send him all the Texas apparel, hats and shirts, and make sure we get him what we need. Okay, bud?
I'm sure he will, because he listens every week.
All right, man.
Awesome.
All right, thank you so much. It's time for the Mirror Lure hotspots from the Middle Coast region. Bink says that we're going to actually trout fish in Port O'Connor on top waters on the incoming tide, bull redfish at the jetties in Matagorda, Port O'Connor, Port Aransas, and Freeport. And then offshore, the red snappers are good in federal waters on sardines, and maybe try a squid.
All right, anglers, get ready for the 43rd annual Key West Marlin Tournament, July 17th through the 20th, with record-breaking payouts, legendary offshore angling, and of course, nightly festivities in the iconic Florida Keys. A Hemingway-esque adventure awaits. Make sure to get registered at keywestmarlin.com. Definitely adventure, definitely a lot of fun.
It's so much fun. Their parties are the epic.
And the fishing's great too.
Yeah,
all right,
no doubt.
Well, get ready to celebrate your pops, gramps, peepaw, dad, uncle, and all of the fellas in the front runner boats, Upper Coast and Sea Sucker Lower Coast regions. Plus, we're saying hi to our friend from Rodan Marine Systems. We'll be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Berkeley, your fish, our science. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. Abyss Battery. Power your pursuit. Ducks Unlimited. Leader in wetlands conservation. Rodan. Set it, forget it, catch more fish. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Penn. Let the battle begin.
Well, as you can see, joining me now is Kyle Hagan, the Vice President of Rodan Marine Systems. You know, Kyle, in the last few years, Rodan has really stepped up the game and really has come onto the scene. What do you contribute that to?
We started building 12-volt motors, 24-volt motors. As of right now, we've got 36-volt motors, 120-pound thrust, shafts up to 108 inches. We're putting these on boats up to 35 foot with a single motor. Up to 50 foot, we're putting 2 motors on them.
With 108 inches, we can now go all the way up to the big cats as well as the center console. Are guys running duals also?
We're running dual motors on the big cat boats. They're fishing offshore, deep dropping, big snapper, big grouper.
You know, one of the guys told me about the anchor system and how it's saving him 2 hours, an hour and a half to 2 hours of fishing a day. Goes more to his clients because he's not pulling in anchor line, he's not putting anchor line away. What do you contribute to how good your anchor system is?
We've got the accuracy and efficiency of these motors are keeping the guides, keeping the mates, they're focused on the client, they're keeping them on the fish, keeping the tent, getting fish in the boat.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the manufacturing side of things, Kyle. You guys build those in Sarasota, Florida, the Rodans. Why don't we tell everybody about the components? Where are they built?
So we've got a facility in Sarasota, Florida. We do machining, turning. We have 2 SMT lines, selective solder machines. We encapsulate all of our electronics in-house. Every motor gets water tested before it goes out the door.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the service. If we do have a problem with our Rodan, what about our warranty?
We've got a 2-year warranty on the motors. You can go to rodanmarine.com, find the dealers, find the service centers local to you, get you fixed back up and get you on the water.
Guy, you knocked it out of the park. Thank you so much for all the support. You support everything we do, the Florida Insider Fishing Report, Texas Insider Fishing Report, and Sportsman's Venture. And we're really grateful to be your trolling motor pro staff as well.
Thanks, Rick. We're glad to be here.
Yes,
What do you
and
think, Bree?
I think Rodan totally changes the fishing day. Gotta get one. All right, we're waiting for some nice reds inshore and offshore. The Dorado are coming in hot in the front runner boats upper coast region with Captain Carl Weston. What's going on, Carl?
Oh, just another lovely day here. Beautiful. Our weather's changing, and taking a look at that redfish bite, like you're saying, Bree, Galveston this week. You know, you're going to want to find some cleaner water. We've had a ton of fresh water filling our bays, just dumping in with the rain. In between, it's been beautiful, though, to get out fishing. And, you know, that tide is still bringing visibility and bait in past those jetties. It's amazing with the amount we've had. The old Gulf is doing her job and cleaning out. Now, natural baits and scented baits is going to improve your chances this week. And fish bites make a huge selection of scented baits made for just these water conditions. And so the early morning bite is still best. That incoming tide, cleaner, the water temps are getting right. The fish are still following those bait schools. Birds are still giving away their position, as they always do. Slot-sized fish are being caught more readily in the area, and the weather is looking better for next week. And I have a picture today of Alexis with a nice red she caught.
Nice. All right, what else you got?
Rick, the trout bite's been a little slow all spring. You know, it remains the same this week. We've been watching the bait schools for signs of fish, but the trout are still scattered a bit and hard to find at sometimes. Now, the fish that we're catching are good size. They're healthy. Doesn't seem to be an issue there. It just seems like we need to find the bigger schools. Live bait has been the best bet, live shrimp or finger mullet. You can free line them on a Texas rig right now. Crankbaits like the Berkeley hit stick in black and silver are really good too. Surf fish they should pick up soon. Everybody's out there wading right now. And you know, that might be the best bet. The stealth of that, the ability to sneak up on these schools is going to really pay off. As the water clears up and this bite will improve as well. So keep an eye out for more activity around those big oyster reefs like the area around the middle of Galveston Bay, inshore to Texas City all the way back to the dike. The reefs east near Bolivar. We also had some reports of some nice fish over at Sabine Lake out by the jetties. So get out there and catch some of these big trout. They're beautiful right now. Got a picture today of beautiful fish, talking about that with Shane.
Nice. All right, let's roll offshore where you make your money, son.
All right, let's talk about snapper again. It's been a beautiful weather week for us. Get offshore was all weekend was nice. The bigger fish took some looking around for all of us because it's a new year, new season, but they're out there. Big schools of small fish that take over many of those inside spots in 125 foot and smaller, but that's a great sign for the future, guys. Don't get frustrated. Bump out there in a little deeper water. The current's also been strong, which has been a little bit hard. So we've had to up our weights a little bit to get down to the bottom quickly. Added weight makes it feel a little tough, tougher to feel the bite. So I've been tipping the hook like we talked about with fish bites. That way if you lose the bait, boom, you got another shot. Big bucktail jigs are fun to use as well. I tip them, use them the same way. Knife jigs and the old trusty diamond jigs are doing well. Captain told me Saturday that when they were fishing with a knife jig tipped with squid, it was what the fish wanted over just regular bait. So there you go. It's getting hot. Break out that Taco Marine shade fin, folks. We had a gentleman, Mr. Tom, with his first offshore trip. His first red snapper. It wasn't a keeper, but he was happy, Rick.
Oh, my goodness. I see you putting those reels to use. Good job, Carl. Let's go ahead and see what else you got. You got some mahis?
Yeah, we ran into some small schools of little Dorado this week, and I mean little, on some current breaks about 30 miles off the jetties in some little grass patches like we talked about. This is a great sign. There's tons of bait mixed in right now. In a few months, these fish are going to be better sized. We chummed up a few, threw some gold spoons at them, they jumped on. The guys were catching them on sneaky rigs, which is funny. They were so small, we were just tossing them back, but it was a lot of fun. So, hey, jump in that front runner and hit the water. Fishing's good right now. Don't mess out when the weather's right. Go get it. And I got Danny today with some little chickens on a string.
So, Carl, I'm sorry, brother, but I just got to say the offshore pedophile police, they're going to be calling you after the show. Dude, you were picking on these little mahis and picking on those little snappers. Man, what's up with that?
Hey, little guys need love too. Look at you, Rick.
Oh, that wasn't nice. All right, well, it's time. It is time for the Upscale Glass Company Hotspots. So thank you so much, Carl. He says inshore fishing the surf for the big reds on a 3-way bottom rig with some cut shad. And then offshore, drop a big bucktail jig tipped with fish bites while the structure, on the structure in the water depths of 125 feet for the red snappers. You know, Bree, when I was over there with Dave at the workbench and we were talking about that metered line, I remember doing a Sportsman's Adventure episode with you down at the Hump in Marathon. And we had metered line on there, and we're dropping down between 275 and 300. And I said, Bree, you were getting all the bites. I said, Bree, how far are you dropping it? And I'll never forget your answer. You looked at me with the most serious face and you go, down to the blue line. And I said, well, how far is that? And you go, I don't know, down to the blue line. When the spool gets about like that in the blue, it was perfect. I loved it.
There's lots of ways to catch fish, guys.
She's looking at the diameter of the line that's missing, and when it got to the blue, she was getting a bite. So whatever works for you, just knowing they get to the right colored line, you're going to make it happen.
The blue line's where it's at. All right, Captain Chad Kinney is telling us all about the trout, reds, kingfish, and red snapper action happening for Dad this weekend in the Sea Sucker Lower Coast region. So, Chad, let's hear it.
I tell you what, heck, I wish I was in the studio. Y'all are having a blast today. I love it.
Yeah.
And we're talking about fishing inshore and offshore, stuff like that, but we got some good news on both. So the inshore, we're going to start with that. The jetties, which, hasn't been much because of the activity we had with winds and stuff like that, but it's turned on for the redfish. So if you guys want to do that, head to the jetties for the redfish, and then trout fishing remains really, really good in 3 to 4 foot of water and along that ICW and the land cut right there. So talking about redfish first, we're going to head to the jetties and lower coast, Port A, Port Mansfield's right there. We got it. South Padre Island. Find some of those deeper washouts and those eddies right there. Use your Rodan trolling motor to, once you find that washout in a deeper hole right there, anchor lock it, put it in position, and start fishing from there. Use a heavier Eagle Claw jig head, 3/4 ounce to 1 ounce in weight, depending on the current. Attach a fish bite to that, or a saltwater assassin sea shad, and work those bottoms. When I'm talking about working those bottoms, you got to, drop them. Sometimes you just got to vertically drop them instead of cast, and just bounce them up and down, kind of like grouper fishing almost, but when they're working those deeper holes like that. Fresh cut mullet also been working really well when you're using that, and croaker free line works really, really good. Also, SavageGear.com, they make a really good 3D shrimp. I just started trying these things. We've been talking about it. They got some heavier weights on the weighted ones, so if you're hitting the jetties, get a heavier weighted one, and then work those in the same way out those bottoms and the eddies right there. Remember, on the redfish, it's 3 per person, 20 to 28 inch. There's been some slot fish in there, and there's been definitely some oversized in there also. So I got a picture of Leah here out of Port Mansfield with a good redfish that she caught out there.
Good job.
Looking good.
She's only been fishing for about 3 months.
Way to go, Leah. Good job.
Moving to trout fishing. Trout fishing has been really good. Saltwater assassin sea shad, magic grass in color. Been talking about that for years, but that purple and that chartreuse tail works out really good. You work that thing in 3 to 4 foot of water around the grass beds and the sand pockets. Make some long drifts and repeat that, or definitely get out with some calmer water. Now we got some green trout water. Wade up, get out in the wade and work those areas. Trout are still holding along with the ICW, the drop-offs there, and also the land cut. So live croaker free line, if you're using some bait, that works really good out those deeper drop-offs. And in my opinion, go out fishing early for the trout, do that, stuff like that, and then head out to the jetties for the redfish if you guys are going to try to make a long day of it. Moving to offshore, red snapper fishing, it's been excellent offshore, federal water and state water. And there's been some kingfish actually showing up pretty good. We got these hotter water temps coming up, and they're hitting around beachfront and any structure you got. So the red snapper fishing, like I mentioned, it's been excellent. Any structure you can kind of find, any hard bottoms, anything you can get to. Eagle Claw trocar rigs work really good, and Savage makes a great jig also. And we've been using a Savage jig to squish squid jig's been working really, really good. It flutters down really great. Work's been really good. We're using some Penn Torque reels or the Penn 6500 series with the light with the blue Carnage jig and rod. They make several series, but the blue Carnage jig around 3 works really good. Drop the jigs until you find some where they're feeding at in the depth. So the best way in this one, guys, you guys were talking about earlier, but basically, if you're in 130 foot, drop 8 to 10 seconds. Try it right there. If no bites, drop it deeper. Just keep on doing that and repeat it until you find the deals. And after that, go ahead and drop it and redo your count. If you're at 12 or 15, whatever seconds it is where the fish are feeding, it'll hit. So we got a picture right here of a good
Savage squish jig with a nice little average red snapper there.
Nice.
So moving to kingfish, tell you what, kingfish, we don't talk about much, but they are here, and they're up around the structure and their beachfront, that warmer waters, they push them all in. Pull the 3 lines after you're done snapper fishing. That Savage Max Stick Speed Runner, that's all I've been pulling. Use a wire leader on those things, of course. Maybe you don't have to be real long, but make it a foot or 2 long. Troll to 6-7 knots, put 2 or 3 of these lines out in the back end. These baits pull really, really good. If you get to 9 knots running down sea for some reason, if they're in the center console, it's not going to matter. These things pull great. And they can take the abuse from all these toothy kingfish and wahoo or wherever you got on. So the great way to go out there is hit your snapper spots, be done, kind of troll for some kingfish afterwards, and kind of head to the jetties and finish your day up.
All right, Chad, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots for the lower coast region. Chad says the jetties have turned on for good redfish action. Plenty of trout and 3 to 4 feet of water around the grass beds and sand pockets. And then offshore, that red snapper fishing has been excellent. And there's plenty of kingfish around the structure, just like his report.
Well, Chad just gave us a grand plan. Start offshore, come inshore Sunday. It's looking good for all the daddies out there. All right, Rick, the 30th annual Skeeter Owners Tournament took place at Lake Fork last week, and the almost 1,800 anglers sure cleaned up competing for over $200,000 in cash and prizes. Congrats to all of the winners, of course, and to the grand prize winner, Monty Sewell, who secured his Skeeter boat and Yamaha package with an 8.84 pound bass.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Everyone had a great time, and Skeeter said they're looking forward to the next 30 years. Do you know who's on that?
Yeah, man.
All right,
Next
that's
30
good.
years.
Next 30 years. All right, we're getting you on the bass and crappie bite early in the lower fresh region when we come back. But first, Dave has some last-minute Father's Day gift ideas at the Yak Gear Workbench.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here envious of the guns on the mannequin. The mannequin is...
That's a plaster of me, Dave.
His arms are way too long for that.
It's the Texas mannequin over there.
Way too long.
I get to move him every week. Love those guns. We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Abu Garcia, Fish to Win, Fenwick, Feel Everything, Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome, Island Lures, Tournament Tackle, Sea Sucker, easy on, easy off, incredibly strong. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a Miro lure. Front Runner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. And Startron, start, run, and store with Startron.
Today I would like to go over a little more advanced technique when using a power pole shallow water anchor. First thing I do when leaving the dock is pay attention to the wind direction and the sun. My goal is to fish all shorelines, flats, or docks with the wind and the sun at my back. Doing this gives me the best shot at sneaking up on fish and spotting them from further away. It also dramatically increases my casting distance. Throwing with the wind as opposed to casting directly into the wind is another key tip. Another advantage to approaching spots like this, when I'm working an area with the wind at my back, I do not have to use my trolling motor nearly as much. I also don't have to turn it up on higher speeds, which reduces hole slap and other noises that could spook fish. I'm trying to be as stealthy as possible and let the wind push me down a shoreline, giving me the best advantage possible. When I see a fish or I hook up, I deploy the power pole silently in the water. My boat remains facing downwind, even with a single power pole anchor. Next time you're out on the water, fish with the wind and the sun at your back, and I guarantee your catches will go up. That's your power pole tip.
Well, it is time for the Taco Marine new products here at the Yak Gear Workbench. And
Yeah,
Dave,
I have to check every once in a while.
yeah, it's hard to keep up some days, isn't it? But
Yep.
you know, Dave, sometimes the compartments on some of the big center consoles and all the traveling that you and I do.
Oh, yeah.
When we go, you going to Australia, me going to Trinidad, wherever we're doing a Sportsman's Adventure episode, or you know those personal charters that we do. I saw this Plano, and I fell in love with it.
Well, this is the Plano Sportsman's Trunk in the large size. Provides loads of storage space for, all your outdoor gear. You can put tools in it. You can put a tent in it. Fits nicely in your garage, your attic, or even on the front of your center console if you want to put a bunch of stuff in it. They're really durable trunk. Has molded grooves on the top so that you can stack them on top of each other.
Yep.
And they have nice tie-down points on the sides, on the ends.
Correct.
So you can tie them down. They have really nice wheels in the bottom so you can wheel all your stuff around if you overload it, like I would probably do. Again, the reinforced removable lid. The whole lid comes off so you can access it from either side, which is very important, especially if you've got it up against a bulkhead or something. You want to get to both sides of it. It's lockable and it's airline friendly. You can take it on the airline. It's 37 by 18 by 14 inches. Comes in 6 different colors, and you can go to purefishing.com to get your Plano large trunk.
I hope they make this much, much bigger so I can put my deer heads in it when I'm flying home from Texas.
That's going to be pretty big.
Yes.
Put a deer head. Well, I don't know.
No, it just needs to be deep.
I gotcha. Next, we got the Scoozy's men's Del Marina shoe. Scoozy makes really good deck shoes, but these, what's cool about these, they're incredibly light. They weigh 6.3 ounces, which is nothing. Smooth stretch construction around the back. There is no seam that's going to, rub on your ankle, which those seams like to do. Right. No abrasion back there. They're water resistant, full grain leather on the top with little accents on there to make a nice natural feeling fit.
Non-skid sole.
Non-skid for sure. Fast drying, breathable, hypoallergenic mesh on the top. Anti-odor, antimicrobial footbed.
Yes.
Got
That's
it.
The word
Removable inshore. Removable insole.
Insole.
Yeah, not an inshore. Removable insole, so you can wash that as well. And they got it up to a size 15. But with these shoes, they recommend that, like, I wear a size 10. They say to get a 10.5. And if you have a 10 foot that's wide, go ahead and get an 11. Because these Scoozies, they're a little on the smaller side. They run a little on the smaller side, so get you a half size up, and or a full size if you've got an extra wide foot.
Correct.
Go to scoozyshoes.com to get you some of those. Last but not least, we got some really cool apparel.
The merch.
We're going to go ahead. It's Father's Day, and we're going to go ahead and chime our own horn here. You can go to Texas Insider, www.store.rmmedia.com to get all your Texas Insider fishing gear. These are nice performance hats from Richardson, some of the best in the business. I've wore a hat since I was 8 years old, so
right.
I'm very particular about my hats. And when you guys said you were going to go buy some hats, I was like, oh boy, I hope they get ones I like. And you certainly did, because these Richardson hats are really, really nice. They've got the plastic peg and holes in the back to fit any head. I have a tiny peanut head, so I have to get them down really, really tight. And we got 3 different kinds. We got the trucker style. We've got the performance hats, like the one that you've got on.
Camo
and
up there.
This is my favorite, actually, the blue camo from Texas. And on the same website, you can get Bahio sunglasses. You can get a lot of the tackle that you see on the shows that we have on here on
all
new
the
products.
Tackle that we show, they can get. They can get Savage stuff there. They get Bahio sunglasses there.
Yep.
There's lots of stuff.
And nice shirts as well. We got some AFTCO shirts that are branded by ours with our brands on them.
Right.
So you can just really get some really good stuff at www.store.rmmedia.com.
And if you can't remember, just remember Rick Murphy Media, and it becomes pretty easy at that point.
There you go.
All right, Bree. You're the Rick Murphy Media Queen, so where are we going next?
Yes, I am. All right, the lakes in the lower fresh region are on fire right now, but if Lake Decker rings a bell, you might want to put it on your list of things to fish this weekend. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Bree. How are y'all?
We're good. We're just shopping over here.
Good. Let's get this thing started. Got too much to talk about. Mike Bates sent a report from Choke Canyon. The bass have been biting really well there. That early morning bite's been good most days. Some days it's not. And you don't even really know why. Give it a try for about an hour. After that, you want to move on out to that
6 to 15 foot range. Texas rigs and shaky heads have been the deal in that depth in the mid-morning and on up to around noon time. Also, there's some deep diving crankbait fish out in that same zone. One of the anomalies going on there right now, starting about 1 o'clock after it gets really hot, there's a really good shallow bite. Sounds backwards, but the fish are moving back up shallow and getting in the shade, even though it's 100 degrees. The best bite there has been on a Texas rigs soft plastic stick bait. Throw it in the shade, fish it real slow, and just hang on. His numbers have been real good with 50 to 70 fish a day, up to 9 pounds. Lake Amistad, the morning topwater bite has been good. Popping style baits work real slowly on the calm mornings. When you got a breeze and a chop on the water, that jaywalker's been playing big dividends. About 9 o'clock, move on out and get your big ribbon tail worm on the rock drops in 10 to 25 foot of water. That's a great way to, keep catching them as the sun gets high. Some of the biggest fish at Amistad right now are being caught using forward facing sonar around the deep trees and also just chasing bait balls. Lake Decker's been fishing really great, catching big numbers with some quality mixed in. Worms in the grass have been the best bet, but Brian's also catching some on top waters like a frog and that Berkeley jaywalker. Lake Bastrop fishing decent. Lots of bass being caught in the discharge first thing in the morning. Those fish are schooling in there on small swim baits. While they're on top, when they go down, pick up your shaky head with a finesse worm on it and continue to catch them. Later, the schooling activity is best out on the main lake. Just look for the boiling fish and get in the middle of them. Lots of action to be had. Buchanan's fishing well. The lake came up a little bit, so there's some new flooded cover. Throw your Texas rig creature baits in that flooded cover to catch them all day. They love that new growth when we get some water down south. Fayette County, there's some fish around the standing timber. Pitch your Texas rig creature baits around that to key on those fish. Later in the day, move out to the main lake points and drop-offs with Carolina rig and deep cranks have been your ticket out in that 15 to 20 foot of water. Closing the bass out at Falcon. Falcon just continues to shine. My best bite right now is related to main lake rock in 8 to 12 foot of water. I've been crushing them on the Berkeley Dime 15 crankbaits and shaky heads. Numbers and size is the best of both worlds. Got 3 pictures there. Jeff had a really good week this week. So happens to be the same fella in all 3 pictures. He had a lot of Falcon specials to show off.
You go, Jeff.
Nice.
Wow.
He's got Rick Murphy's hairline.
Yeah, he does. He obviously can catch them better than Rick Murphy. I don't catch them that much.
Let's talk about some crappie. Lake Somerville, the crappie are in a brush pile to 12 to 20 feet of water. Most days they'll bite that 1/8 ounce crappie jig just fine, but on the picky days, get your little minnows and convince them to get in that live well for a great box of dinner.
Hey, Matt, we got a little time for a quick question. So you've had now a few weeks, a few months, I should say, to start fishing some of those Berkeley hard baits. What are you finding that you like about them, bud?
I love that the dredger, it's a small compact crankbait that gets really good depth, casts really well. That bait in that 15-foot bait, the 10-foot and the 15-foot bait run great. I love them, what they're doing. Also, that Fritz-side 5 just can't hardly be beat in the shallow water. For a small bait, it actually casts well also. Just continuing to put fish in the boat. I'm really, really enjoying getting started with that line, and I'm going to continue to learn more about it as we go.
All right, thank you so much, bud. We're going to go and take a look at the hot spots from the lower fresh region. He says Lake Decker bass fishing is great right now, catching numbers and some quality as well. Worms in the grass are working best, but we also are catching some on top waters like frogs and jaywalkers. What's going on over here, Dave?
Oh my goodness. You give a man the arm of a mannequin and he just finds so many things to do with, I swear. What is happening? Dave, you ruined my Texas man. I know you want his biceps, but you can't have them.
He fell apart on me.
He did. He did.
You know,
Poor
you
guy.
hear us say break a leg, Dave break an arm.
Break an arm. They've already done like 10 different things with this arm. It was like that Whose Line Is It Anyway show. Remember that show where they used to take the props?
Exactly.
I feel like I'm on that show right now. I can't say.
What do we got next week, Bree?
Oh my gosh,
We
I
got
don't
Father's
know.
Day this weekend. What you doing for Jill?
Father's Day, we'll probably take him fishing or diving or something. Something to do with the water, you know?
I'm
Where are
going
you
to a ball
gentlemen gonna
game.
be?
So I'm going to the Boston Red Sox Yankees game in Boston. I'm leaving
Have
on
fun,
Friday.
guys. See the Cubs
Taking
race.
Colin and Kathy.
Happy Father's Day to all the dads
Bye,
out
guys.
there.
Go
Cubs.
We'll see you next week.
See you.
It's my turn.